We have our Kenyan family, and we're looking to build a bridge. We got some great information coming in, and we hope to get some great conversation. So let us do a fair introduction of one another. Let's start off with Coach Dixon because Coach Dixon is doing great works in Kenya. The brother has a soccer program, and he also has a program where he teaches chess. Me and his brother came acquainted because we also had similar programs in our community where it deals with chess. But as I always share, the best person to represent themselves is the host. Brother Dixon, introduce the people to yourself, brother, and tell them who you are and what you represent.
Thank you, Brother Levon. I'm Coach Dixon Gitari from Kenya, Nakuru City, where I run a soccer project, sports project for kids. And our main sport is soccer for community. And we double it up with a chess program for kids where it's a 50-50 thing, 50 commercial, 50 community, so that we can be able to sustain the other projects. And I appreciate being in this platform, and I appreciate everybody who's watching. Thank you for the support that you are giving us through this platform, Mr. Levon. We appreciate, and we look forward to doing great things together.
Yes, sir. Praise be to God. Thank you, brother. And once again, community work is always a beautiful charity to do. Okay, so you said you're activism for human rights. What rights are
Yeah.
you actually? What specific are you fighting for? Because that's a broad issue. What specific are you fighting for?
Okay. Right now, I am among the Kenyan delegates for the abolition of the death penalty in our justice system. We want to abolish the death penalty in our justice system as much as it exists as a matter of fact. The fact that there are still people being sentenced to the death penalty, I feel like it is not right.
Oh, that's a beautiful topic to speak on because that's an issue that a lot of people here in the States and perhaps are shared around the world. Because sometimes you may have a situation where a person is found not guilty because of DNA or certain circumstances, and we know that certain things don't always come into light till later on. So is that along the case
Yeah.
what you're dealing with, where people are later on found out they were innocent all along?
Um, in the so far, according to statistics and things that have already happened, we found cases where people have been executed, and yet later on they're found guilty. Not guilty, sorry. We found cases where people have been put on death row for a very long time, and yet they're innocent. We found cases where there are other factors leading to different traits that make people. This includes probably medical factors. You'd find some people are fighting mental health issues that lead them to committing certain crimes.
Was able to tell us is that our whole justice sector, and especially the criminal justice sector, is skewed against the poor. For instance, if you look at our police and policing in Kenya, it indicated that we arrest more of petty offenders and less of violent offenders. And the statistics were 68% of those arrested during the time, the 2 years that we did the study, were petty offenders. Again, when it comes to translation of those particular offenders, we find that when it comes to preferring charges to courts, again, very few violent offenders see themselves going to court. We had only 30% in the records that were registered to have been people who were preferred charges for in terms of going for violent offenders.
Because you're in the university, and as Brother Dixon has said, the youth is going to mold tomorrow. and the platforms that we have can get momentum and bring light to it. So, Sister Tanja, being that you're becoming a paralegal, your services, do you see it getting traction as far as the parents seeing what you're doing, the elders coming in to assist you, and plus the other people in your peers, are they helping you out with this cause?
It's nice that in Kenya paralegals have been given like a good platform, and we do not the service is not, it's not charged to anybody, be it a young person or an elder person. And there is where we get more support, because we even the Kenyan government does have the Paralegal Society of Kenya, where once you're registered there, you can do the service from anywhere in the country. So I'd say I get a lot of support from my peers, from the elder people, from anybody who is around the space, either be it the art space, creative space, or practicing law, or even other institutions that do support the motion or any project that comes our way.
And maybe just to be clear, for the sake of anybody who might not understand about the 24-hour rule, maybe just make it clear, what does it state?
The 24-hour rule requires that you're supposed to, after arrest, within 24 working hours, you're supposed to be brought before court. And if the police wish to stay with you or put you in custody longer than that, then they need to seek leave of the court to continue doing so.
Okay.
Black Americans here make 13%, 12 to 13% of the population, but they make up almost 50% or 30% of the prison population. There is the prison population, how can I say this, used as a tool for labor or stuff of that nature? Because sometimes when they put people in prison, they use for various issues. So are they using them for things outside of a moral compass?
Sometimes you'd get that happens because the larger number of people in the prisons, Kenyan prisons, mostly are youths, and then those youths, most of them come from like a low income earning background. So you'd find like they're not able to afford proper lawyers or things like that. And that means the larger part of it probably are the poor. We have we have the low income earning people, we have the middle class and the high class. Most of them really come from the middle class going downwards. And that's the bigger challenge. And since they're youths and they're still energetic, once there is the work that are needed to be done by the government, they would definitely be chosen to do the work.
Thank you, Mr. Kitonga. And I want to start by saying that what he has said could be a fact, that we have more petty offenders as opposed to serious offenders.
Is it that we have more petty offenders, or do we have more petty offenders arrested as opposed to violent offenders?
We have more petty offenders arrested, and this is due to a simple fact, that in essence, if you look around the world, we have more petty offenses committed, and especially in the African context, say the Kenyan context, we have petty offenses being committed because of want. You see, people want, steal because they want to fulfill a certain basic need. You see, as compared to serious offenses. In essence, it's a fact that more petty offenses are committed as compared to serious offenses.
So from the police service, your defense to that would be the sheer volume of petty offenders is higher than violent offenders, and that's why there's that reflection. 68% is rather high.
Yeah, it is high, but remember there is also 32% of the serious offenses. And you see, the police operate, take action on reports which are made to the police station. If somebody reports a case, the police have no option. They have to take action. If they see a cognizable offense, which is a petty offense, they take action, and that adds to the numbers. If we come to serious offenses, of course, some may not be reported, and some are reported. What I'm trying to say is that more petty offenses are reported to the police as opposed to serious offenses.
Okay.
The youth, I know we had the discussion on plenty of occasions where, you know, someone comes down to speak, and maybe the parents can start seeing more reason that your program should be supported, because we don't want low income of the population to be falsely charged or deal with a prison system that may not be just. So do you have any ideas coming to your head as we speak about how you and Sister Tanji can come together?
Yeah, and in this one, it's a difficult situation, especially in Kenya, because most of the people, they just assume things gonna work out smoothly without a lot of hiccups. So when you come talking to the parents about, let's come together and do this, they give you excuses that they are working. They tell you, oh, let the kid just play, we'll take care of the other things. So you find the reason why I want us to come together is that we can be able to be holding proper talking discussions sessions with professionals like Danji and others who can be able to give real directions about what will happen if you go to this road. And we can get a few people who can be able to come to testify. I was once in jail, this was happening. I know about ABCD. You know of a few people who has been there. You tell them, you remember so and so, like that, like that. So the chance of corroborating is so high. How we gonna get there? It's up to us to put more effort.
As Jasper's just said, it is true that we charge many petty offenders because of the sheer volume of the offenders. And if we had, for example, the reverse, that there was 68% of
Violent
and serious offenders, this country would have gone down the drain, because it is these violent offenders who can bring the country to the brink. And therefore, that is why you have a large number of petty offenders who steal for various, for example, stealing. Many petty offenders actually commit the offense out of ignorance. For example, in the streets, for example, if you are arrested for having thrown litter, these are the petty cases we are talking about, and that is why we have many cases.
that accounts for the numbers.
Yeah.
What if we put together a town hall meeting where, like you had before in your chess program, where people come out, and those who do come, and then Sister speaks about, hey, you know, it's great that Coach Dixon has their chess program. It's great that he has a soccer program, but she can speak from the heart, like you said, and bring those who can give some real life testimonies to, hey, if it wasn't for Sister Tanja and this program, I may not be here today. And that might be more of a personal touch to it, because most mothers or fathers can't fathom the idea that their child could be killed unjustly. So do you think that we could possibly put together a town hall meeting in that aspect?
Yeah, but my idea was because of the expenses and other things, what I was thinking is about going through the same idea but using the schools.
Yes.
Maybe this week we go to a certain school, we book an appointment with them. The advantages, they have the hall, they have everything, they have the kids. So it's only me, Sister Danji, and a few other guys. If we are talking about transport, maybe we source for transport. We go to the school, we talk to them. So before we go to the community, we start building ourselves through schools. So when these kids are off school, we can call a common gathering a discussion day where we can meet in a specific area and we discuss with kids from different schools, but when they are not in school uniform. That is the first and the simplest way we can be able to get the momentum of the whole idea before we go to the social hall where we involve the community of adults and parents.
All right, Lady Justice, there also seems to be, from what he has mentioned, more petty offenders, convicted as opposed to violent offenders. Is that also because of volume, or is there a maybe bigger reason that we've not addressed yet?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. But there is one thing that you must take into account, that courts deal with what is brought before them.
Facts.
Yes, with facts. Not only facts, it is that we cannot synthesize what is not before us. And this comes all the way from the police, passes through the DPP's office, and finally to the court before we disseminate them to the prisons. And the work of the court is not to investigate. It is neither to arrest. And therefore, if we are brought today a volume of drunk and disorderly number of people more than those of violent offenders, then that is what we shall deal with in court. Yeah. Secondly, more interesting, you will find that most of those petty offenders plead guilty. And therefore, the magistrate sitting there trying the person will do the needful and the necessary just to convict and sentence. Probably what we have to look at this point is the manner of sentencing.
Okay.
Yeah, because that is flowing back into the prison, congesting the prisons, and therefore the work of this committee is to relook at how we can treat these offenders. Instead of taking them to the prison, we find better ways of non-custodial sentencing.
All right. And
My question is, and I know I got an answer from Coach Dixon, but I want to get your perspective as well. The faith-based organizations, whether it be a masjid, the church, the faith-based, because this sometimes you have a lot of those that know that these atrocities are happening, but are they assisting in your program? And if you can speak on it.
No. Okay, carry on, Tanji.
Yeah, go
Carry
ahead.
on.
I'll go back to you, Brother Dixon. Yes, sir.
I was about to say, okay, let me speak from my side. I would say the good thing with with Kenya as a country, we accept multiple religions. You know, there is the Muslim community, we have the Hindu, we have the Christian community, and whatnot, and all of them are people we live in the same society. So most of the time you'd find like we do not want to generalize, we do not want to put other people away just because of the religion that they come from. Most of the time we opt to talk to them all as one, as you guys are Kenyans, this is what is happening, this is what might happen, this is what. So as long as we do not step on the toes of probably a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian, we want all of them to feel comfortable. We want everybody in the space to feel accepted and acknowledged, and also seen in the space.
Yes, ma'am. And I understand what you're going with it, but the spirit that I'm going along with it is, yes, you're absolutely right. You know, everybody should respect their religion and their beliefs. But and if you look at any dialects dealing with religion, it deals with justice, freedom, and equality. And it's on the same path of doing what's right for all humanity. And if everybody's serving one God and you see one atrocity happen to one person or one group of people, those who say they believe should be getting involved to some degree. So I have an understanding of where Coach Dixon's spirit is coming from, but I just wanted to get it from your perspective, where outside of, you're respecting their beliefs, that one umbrella to help fix a common problem, which you say you're fighting for, which is the death penalty. That should be something that, those institutions could say, hey, we put our beliefs aside and come together and actually fight for a cause. Can that be possible?
Yeah, it can be possible. because I've seen it. I'd say it can be possible because I've seen it happen. Might be a little bit difficult getting into the institution, like introducing yourself, but once they get to know your course, once you sit with them down and talk to them about what you guys are, what we are planning to do, what we intend to do, what is our vision, what is our mission, how we'll be working, and they're okay with it, well, it does work.
Okay. So on you, Brother Dixon,
Yeah.
the floor is yours on that question, but I know you said no, but what's your, if you could speak straight talking to the best of your ability, what's your reservations towards the same question towards Sister Tanji when it comes to the religious
Uh,
institutions?
Okay, I think I've told you this once, and I'm
Yes,
going
sir.
to repeat it. The only problem with Kenya, it's only one, and I think it's worldwide. We've got the major dominions, the interdomination like Catholic, those are Christians, we've got Muslims, we've got Hindus. We would like, as much as Sister Danje is saying, we would like to live together. But now with these guys, what happens? They want to swallow you up. So if I go to a Catholic priest, they will tell you, okay, you are doing a very good job, but why don't you just come to our church so that we can work together? You go to Hindus, they will tell you the same thing. You go to Muslim, they will tell you the same thing. So I'm sorry to say that I'm an independent person. So when it comes to that, I just tell them, okay, whatever I'm holding, whatever I'm doing it for the community, regardless of the religion, tribe, or race. Like now in my project, I have got Sudanese, I've got all the tribes in Kenya. So to me, I find it more difficult to be swallowed by any big institution because they don't understand my vision.
Yes, sir.
They got their own vision. I've got my own vision. The same method we are talking about what? Assisting the community, in brackets, the youth, the kids, to grow strong, to be good. When you go to church, they are teaching the same morals, but we are using different methods. So it can work, but when it comes, I want to control you. That's where I say no.
Understood.
Because yeah, because I like to stand and make that one decision that will help the others. We may fail for a long time, but when we will get the right person with the same vision, somebody who can understand why I'm doing that, we can talk the same language. So it can work. I'm not refuting, but it's hard because they're selfish. They just want to swallow your ideas and project and like that. So that is my stand.
Yeah.
Would it be accurate to say, based on the audit that was done, that there is then less justice for the poor? There seems to be, or rather, the justice system seems to favor the rich as opposed to the poor.
Well, thank you, Michael. I'll put it this way, that all factors in place really work against the poor. For example, the increased number that we've seen, over 50% that are of petty offenders. If you look at the bail system at the police station, we only got statistics showing us only 2% were able to afford bail. At the courts, it's only 8% who are able to afford the bail that was there. Then for us, the verdict is that there are so many of what you'd also call state-regulated offenses. For example, offenses like selling chocolate along the roads, roasting maize along the roads, who are essentially arrested, not necessarily by the police, but by the enforcement wing, for example, of Nairobi City County.
The county government office.
Yes, and they will end up also finding themselves in prison. And for us, the audit then suggests that there is need for us to, one, decriminalize petty offenders. Because at the end of the day, these are guys who are not supposed to be in prison. They were actually trying to make livelihood for their family. They were roasting that maize rather than kupiga mtu ngeta along the streets. We also need to also looking at administrative solutions to state-regulated offenses.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you put your camera on, my brother, so we can get your perspective? Because we'd definitely like to hear from you, sir. We can hear you. Peace, my brother. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure, brother. And I know you've been on from the beginning, but we definitely want to get your perspective from what you hear. And I want to thank you for being on the program, because every voice does matter. So can you give us an overall assessment of what you heard, brother, and give your perspective?
My name is Maxwell. I'm a professional DJ.
Yes, sir.
And what I've heard from Dixon, some of it I can hear is what I've heard in the street, because I come from a ghetto called Bondeni. And it has a story of selling or getting goods from stolen people. And it's telling something I've experienced. I bought a phone somewhere from a person, and the phone was, I didn't know that the phone was stolen, but I was arrested because of it. But I was lucky because the person who sold it to me was found before anything wrong happened to me.
Okay, so you got kind of lucky then they found the person.
Yeah.
Okay, so the atrocities, you as a black man, and I'm talking to you, like I said, because a lot of things that you may be going through, a lot of young brothers and sisters in the States may be going through as well. Based off what Sister Tanji has spoke upon, the system and how you deal with police, what's your perspective on that, brother? How do you deal with black men and the police in Kenya?
Okay, I don't know what to say about that, because police are what police do in Kenya, I think is a what can I say, is okay, it's an explainable activity, is an explainable thing from them, or from a view that you'll see. For you, you'll see that maybe what they're doing is wrong. For others, they see that they're doing the right thing. To some police or to some officers, they do it wrongly. Maybe beating someone up before taking inside, which is wrong. You know, they're not arresting you peacefully.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do you believe that it's important that we build a good relationship with the kind of, all police can't be bad? You know what I'm saying? This is what, we understand that it's always a small percentage, but do you think that the relationship between the police and the community could be a lot better, especially for the cause that Sister Tanji is actually fighting for? Do you think they could be better?
Yes.
Let me start with you, Lady Justice, on what you see as a possible roadmap to having this, dealt with, especially the high number of the prisons are congested. Okay. They cannot take any more. Yet we still have more petty offenders being arrested and prosecuted.
Yes. The first thing that I would wish to say is that I must reaffirm that is the position. Yesterday we visited the prison headquarters, and we had a sitting with the Deputy Commissioner General. And the statistics that we got were that in the Kenyan prisons, there are 118 in the Republic and are holding over 22,000 unconvicted persons. Those people who are awaiting trials. And from now coming to the audit report, you can see that majority of those are those charged with petty offenses. So then, what did the Chief Justice do upon receiving this report? He envisioned a situation where this situation can be reversed, because it is not just a perception, it has been supported by the data. So how do we reverse this situation? And that is how now this committee was formed, and it has a multi-agency collaboration. All those persons who are involved in the criminal justice system have come in. And one of our objectives from the work plan that we have already drawn, because most of 3 months of last year we sat down to do our work plan, is to see to it that we can reverse that trend. And one of the tasks that we have is to ensure that there is reclassification and decriminalization of the petty offenses. What do I mean by this? Reclassification. Of course, the penal code is what we use mainly in convicting criminal offenders. And in it, we have provisions providing for charging and conviction of the petty offenders. Some of those offenses, honestly, if you looked at them like Section 175, Section 193 of the Penal Code, provide for petty offenses which really no one needs to go to the prison
for.
Yes, and so we want to remove those petty offenses from the main penal statutes. And we have a provision whereby if you are convicted for those, or you are charged for those petty offenses, then automatically the mandatory penalty is not imprisonment.
Can you share your perspective from what you have heard so far?
I didn't get to hear what he said because he was giving his last statement.
Yes, sir.
But I got to hear about what Tanji said about crimes and about the youths. Most youths who are not employed get to involve themselves with criminal activities.
Yes,
And I think one thing that leads people to stop working, especially in this generation that we are in, or the incoming generation of people who are in their early 20s, they tend to leave work if they feel there is no equality at work.
Yes, sir. And that's, I'm listening. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, and since I'm new in this human rights activity, I'm really ready to help people fight for their rights and to help people know about their rights.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And I'm excited, brother. And my spirit, I love seeing when brothers step up. And of course, I love when my sisters step up. And I'm going to continue to champion my brother Dixon, because he's the reason why we are here outside of God. You know, that his program is great. And I share with the brothers to give you guys a little background about me and him. You know, we have a lot in common because I'm very active in the community myself. The purpose, so okay, let me be transparent, since Brother Dixon knows me a little bit much longer. My name is Brother Levon X. I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. I started this program because we are taught to find friendships in all walks of life. We don't believe, the term that we used, bridge, was to bridge the gap between our brothers and sisters around the world, whether it be in America, Africa, Brazil, Australia. We are the mothers and fathers of the planet Earth. So this is our home. Anywhere we go is our home. And then where we have any injustices anywhere, there's just injustice everywhere. So we got to fight for the rights for all of our people and bring attention to it. The spirit of the community reporting is to do such things, to be a community reporter for the world, for us to have a voice, to speak on certain topics, so we get understanding. I'm learning more about Kenya through Coach Dixon, now through my new brothers and sisters. I'm learning from you. This way we can sit there and give maybe some good counsel, vice versa, because the things that you deal with over there is not too different than what we deal with over here. We have to stick up and actually have a voice. And one of the reasons that I decided to put this on social media, because it's disturbing that we're using social media inappropriately. It's a great tool to learn. It shouldn't be about, inappropriate things. And you see it, the mistreatment of women, the disrespect with the language. And we're not learning like that. We're teaching foolishness on a tool that reaches billions of people. So with this platform, with the help of God, of course, because I always believe that God should always be the foundation of anything that's good and righteous, that we use these platforms to educate, learn, motivate, and help those who are actually on the grounds doing things. And one of the things I admire, and you hear me echo Coach Dixon a lot, because the brother has a great program. He just needs the help. And he's right in exact. We had an extra question about relying on different institutions to make things happen. If they know there's a wrong, you shouldn't have to ask or beg. They should automatically take part in fixing what is wrong. Just like what you're doing, Sister Tanja, you see a wrong and God put you in a position to make things happen. No different than with Brother Brent and Brother Maxwell. You brothers can actually see there's a wrong because our sister can't fight by herself. So as men, I'm speaking to the men on this part, to the men, we are supposed to be the maintainers and providers of our community. It doesn't look good where our sisters that are only ones out front and the brothers are not stepping side by side with them. That's not a good look, brothers, because the world looks at that. The world judges its society on how the woman is treated and how the men step up and protect. Any man who don't protect his woman in this society is not respected. So if the Black man wants to get respected around the world, he has to be out front, not in a way where you're being chauvinistic or demeaning, but you're by her side because she's your equal. She's the second self of God. So you got to make sure when you have sisters like Sister Tanji, she's protected, because when she's not protected, you're going to come after her. But when they see the men rally up and they talk strong, walk strong, speak strong with authority, being in front of a camera is a small thing. It's a small thing. Because you got people going out front in front of weapons, in front of guns. So what's a camera? It's only a reflection to show how strong you are as a man. So let's make sure that all those things that we're doing here, we have the same conversation in the barbershop to our friends. Say, hey, we got a platform that we actually can speak our mind with some intelligence and build and grow with something. So that's where your brother's coming from. And that's where my spirit is coming from, brother, because I'm a soldier. And I'm going by what my training is. And whatever I say I'm doing, I do it here as well. So whatever training I have, I'm going to give it to you. I don't want nothing for it. And as me and Brother Dixon has spoke before, and I said this here, I'm not a politician. I know that's a big thing in there. I don't want nothing from you. Only thing I want from you is success.
None of you can deny that what I'm saying is the truth. You know it's the truth. But either you won't write it, or you're too cowardly to speak it because you want some favor here or favor there. So because you can't talk, you are muzzled. I'm not. I'm a free Black man. And I didn't come here looking for a handout. And I really don't think you need one. Your problem is that you think you need a handout. Everything you need is right under your foot, but you're looking everywhere else for help instead of to yourself and what you can produce for yourself. This is Africa's dilemma. You are parading yourself before the world as international beggars when you gave civilization to the world. Your problem is not America. Your problem is not Israel. Your problem is not Britain. Your problem is your disunity and your dependence on others to do for you what you could do for yourself. So I don't have to come back here anymore to help you. The help is already here. The knowledge is already here. The land is here. The sun is here. The water is here. The minerals are here. You have some of the finest minds in the world, but they're in Europe and they're in America making money while Africa suffers. Why don't we create politically stable environment and call the children of Africa back home to help build Africa? We are your children. And we will come and help. But don't expect us to come with billions of dollars when we don't have it. We're struggling in America. But you got it all right here under your foot. And you should be ashamed not to look to yourself, begging white folk to give you what you could give yourself. What I said today, which one of these countries is going to give you $20 million? America's not going to give you $20 million. You got it right here. but your disunity won't allow you to pull it. It's your fault. And you got to accept that responsibility. That is why my message is atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. We got to stop blaming everything on somebody else and see what is our responsibility.